Greetings and welcome to Kindred Groups, an experiment in self-reflection from St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. I'm the Reverend A.J. Ochart. My pronouns are he, him. This is our last session in this learning lab on self-reflection. I know, right? This was a short one to fit into Lent, but do not worry, we're already working on the next learning lab for the season of Easter coming up. We started this learning lab by talking about our gifts and talents, those positive qualities that are deep within us, with roots in our very core of being. Then we talked about the supportive skills that we have developed along the way, those things that we used to not be very good at, but we've developed. Today we are talking about those things that we might not want to talk about, those growing edges that we need to develop. We like the term growing edges because it's a much more positive way to see those challenges that we have not yet overcome, like a bare spot where branches have not yet grown. Maybe you already know some of these growing edges that you need to work on. Maybe they are true blind spots that will take the loving wisdom of the Spirit or another person to open your eyes to. One of my growing edges goes along with the organization skill that I talked about last time. While there are some ways that I am much more organized than I used to be, specifically my skills in planning ahead is a place where I could stand to grow some more. Whether it's thinking a few sermons ahead or scheduling more appropriately, I could do a lot better. It can sometimes be scary to think about taking on a growing edge, to be vulnerable, and to own that you're not very good at something. To try, to fail, to get better, eventually. But this is how we learn and grow. I bet that those supportive skills that you reflected on last week started out as growing edges. One of the biblical words for this transition is to repent, literally to change your heart or change your mind, change your direction. Today we will hear about Cain, the first son of Adam and Eve, who had a bit of an anger issue. God comes down to help guide Cain and advises that he tame this beast before someone gets hurt. Spoiler, he doesn't, and they do. We hear the first chapter of Proverbs and the beautiful picture of Lady Wisdom, Sophia, calling in the streets begging for people to listen to her. We hear of the conversion of Saul, who thought that he was doing the right thing, but actually wasn't. It takes an encounter with the risen Christ and possibly 3 days of blindness to set a new course for his life. Finally, we hear of Bartimaeus, who asked Jesus to restore his sight, much like we ask Christ to help in our growing edges. Our mindfulness experiment will be a chance to explore what challenge or challenges you may have and how your gifts, abilities, and supportive skills may be applied to it. Finally, your real-world experiment is to write encouragement cards to a couple of other participants to be sent out 1 and 6 months from now, and a letter to yourself in a year from now. I hope and pray that you have been enriched by this learning lab on self-reflection. While this process of self-reflection and growing is one that is a traditional part of the season of Lent, it's a process that we are always called to in our life of discipleship. We are always a work in progress, always transforming and being transformed more and more into the image of Christ. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining in this learning lab. And I encourage you to join us in the next one in a few weeks. Keep learning and growing, and we will see you next time on Kindred Groups.